Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy Bengaluru. This is the daily news analysis. Today, that is the 12th August of 2025, we will discuss some 5 to 6 important articles from prelims, mains and interview perspective. So the first topic or the first news for the day is from the front page of the Hindu. It talks about Lok Sabha passes income tax number 2 bill 2025. Okay, so very significant event, not only from the political perspective but also from economical and society perspective as well. So in UPSC it comes under GS paper 2 polity and governance and also GS paper 3 in economy. Okay, so very significant topic. Key highlights of this income tax bill is simplifies, rationalizes and shortens Income Tax Act of 1961. So it is repealing or it is overriding the Income Tax Act of 1961. So we will see some important key points of Income Tax Bill 2025. So it has resulted in structural simplification. So the sections have been reduced from 819 to 564. The chapters have been reduced from 47 to 23 and the word count has been reduced significantly from 5.12 lakh words to 2.59 lakh words. Okay, and there have been more tables from 18 to 57 and formulas from 6 to 46 in order to bring more clarity. Okay, so it has mainly focused on simplification and also it has included digital and compliance reforms. Under this, it provides faceless assessments to reduce corruption, faster refunds allowed even after the deadline, and prior notice mandatory before enforcement. Next, this is one of the most contentious power, that is search and seizure powers. This was criticized in the House by the opposition party. So we will see what are the search and seizure powers. Officials can demand password and access codes for electronic data, which sounds very sketchy and which sounds very anarchic in nature. Okay, so can override codes to access emails, chats and social media. So obviously, since it is been passed just now from Lok Sabha, it is going to be point of contention in the coming days. We will discuss again in detail in that time, but right now just remember that the officials have power to access codes for electronic data. Okay, next, it also provided taxpayer benefits, that is the 12 lakh basic exemption has been retained, clearer rules on house property income, pre-construction interest and NPS like treatment for unified pension scheme withdrawals. Okay, next, the legislative context is, it is based on a select committee report which provided 285 suggestions and 32 major changes. Aim is, just as we discussed, simplification, reduce litigation and efficiency. Now we will just do a comparative analysis of the old and new provisions. So the old provision was Income Tax Act of 1961 and the new provision is Income Tax Bill of 2025. So formulas we already discussed. So now we will focus on rest of the aspects. In language and structure, the old one was complex legal drafting and in the new one is more simplified and rationalized format. In search and seizure of electronic data, the old tax law provided only access to physical and electronic records but no explicit provision for overriding the passwords. Here, explicitly mandates taxpayers to share access codes or passwords, empowers officials to override access codes to emails, chats and social media. Okay, and in powers in electronic search, it was mainly dependent on the taxpayer cooperation in the old regime and now officials can forcibly bypass security if taxpayer refuses. Next is basis of law. It is built over decades of amendments and fresh drafting incorporating select committee recommendations and privacy concerns. Fewer direct conflicts due to absence of explicit overriding powers. However, there is a potential conflict with the right to privacy under Article 21. Okay, So this is against the Potosome judgment in 2017, which upheld right to privacy as a fundamental right under Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty. Next, the legislative process amended through periodic finance acts over the period of time and introduced in February 25, reviewed by select committee with a chair by Jayant Panda, and updated bill passed in August 2025. So this is about new income tax bill. We have to wait and see when it becomes act. Next is a very important treaty negotiation, that is Geneva negotiation, which is mainly dealing with plastic treaty. Very important, plastic treaty. However, it has resulted in deadlock between two groups of the nations. So in UPSC relevance, it comes under GS2, International Environmental Agreements, India's multilateral diplomacy, and in GS3, pollution control, plastic waste management rules, and circular economy. So we will see the background and the issue. The initiative is of UNEP since 2022, that is United Nations Environment Protection. Goal is legally binding treaty to address plastic pollution on land and oceans. Forum is Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, that is 4 sessions so far. And the decisions rules near unanimous agreement required. Okay, so it is not about no majority voting. Here unanimous agreement is required, that all the countries have to agree. Only then the convention is going to move forward. So that is why it is in a deadlock at the moment. So two main blocks are, one is high ambition coalition, other is like-minded countries. In high ambition coalition, the members are around 80 countries led by Norway and Rwanda, which includes European Union members. And in like-minded countries, it has Iran, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, China, Cuba, and it is also supported by India. The key stand of high ambition coalition is impose production cuts and caps on the plastic and polymers, whereas in like-minded countries, focus is more on waste management and there is no production caps. And the rationale is pollution cannot be curbed without cutting the production. But however, according to the LMC, the caps disrupt trade, waste management is more practical. So this is the main point of contention between two of the groupings. And what about India's position here? India's position is mainly aligned with LMC because it is more aligned with the like goals of India, that is petrochemical exporters. In industry view, that is All India Plastic Manufacturers Association on August 5, 2025 said that caps would harm growth and cannot be substituted at needed scale. Focus should be more on waste management and behavioral change to reduce littering rather than production caps. Next, the geopolitical and economic context. So, shift in plastic manufacturing. There is a global shift in plastic manufacturing. That is, it moved from Europe to South and Southeast Asia. The plastic production initially, which used to happen in the Europe, has not taken place or not taking place in South and Southeast Asia. Asia now dominates global trade in primary plastic polymers such as ethylene, propylene, styrene, and other derivatives. 11 exporting and 18 importing countries in Asia are there. And USA position is that it is neither a part of high ambition coalition or not the part of like-minded countries. It initially pushed for a strong treaty but now opposes production caps. So you can see which government was supporting the strong treaty and which government is supporting the opposition cap. Obviously it is Joe Biden and this one is Trump. Okay. Next, the market trends is declining demand and margins for polymer products globally. Example, China's petrochemical refining is at only 50% capacity. So in the global trends, these are the important trends. So core rift is already discussed. According to high ambition coalition, the pollution is equal to overproduction, so cap is very essential. Pollution is equal to mismanaged waste, so improving waste removal system is important. Okay, according to the like-minded countries. Next, the article, it talks about reviving civic engagement in health governance. Okay, it is relevance for GS2 health citizen participation. rights-based governance, and GS4 ethics, dignity, and participatory democracy. Context: schemes like Makkalai Tedi Marutavalan of the Tamil Nadu government in 2021 and Gruha Arogya of Karnataka 24-25 aim to provide doorstep health care for non-communicable diseases. Okay, so author based on these schemes has a particular or peculiar question. What is it? It raises a deeper question, that is, are citizens equally able to reach and influence health governance? Okay, though the governments are bringing the laws or the governments are bringing policies, but are citizens equally able to reach and influence health governance? We have to wait and see. So, citizen engagement in health governance. The status: health governance in India now involves governments, civil society, professional bodies, hospital associations, and trade unions. Public engagement ensures accountability, counter epistemic justice, that is, denying communities a voice in shaping policies affecting them. That is, epistemic justice, injustice. Epistemic injustice is where a community is not provided a chance to shape their voice or voice their opinions in shaping the policy makings. However, it counters epistemic injustice, meaning it provides scope for communities in a voice. Okay, the communities can raise their voice in shaping their opinions. Next, strengthens democracy and trust. Next is India's National Rural Health Mission of 2005 created platforms like VHSNCs, that is Village Health Sanitation and Nutrition Committees, and Rogi Kalyana Samitis, that is Patient Welfare Committees, and then Mahila Arogya Samitis, that is Urban Women's Health Groups. So, in this National Rural Health Mission, the citizenry is also able to influence the governance. However, the challenges persist. The challenges are weak implementation, social hierarchies, poor intersectoral coordination, and ambiguous roles and underutilized funds. Okay, so these are the issues with respect to health governance in India. Core problems are: first is the mindset issues, that is, communities are seen as beneficiaries, not as rights holders or co-creators. That is the issue in most of the health governance in India. Okay, target driven approach overshadows participatory planning, and it is also dominated by medicals or medicines. Leadership, mostly doctors trained in biomedical models, not public health. Okay, next is structural barriers, that is seniority based promotions, resistance to citizen oversight, and regulatory capture by the powerful interest is hampering the health governance of India again. So these are some of the core problems, that is mindset issue, and then target driven approach overshadows participatory planning, dominated by doctors rather than leaders of public health. Next, structural barriers where it is focused on seniority promotions, and also the alternative channels, that is citizens often use protest, media, and legal action to be heard. Since they do not have any other option to voice their opinions, obviously they are going to go for protest, media, and legal actions. So what should be the way forward? How do you address this crisis in health policies in India or health governance in India? By empowering the communities. How? That is spreading awareness of health rates, ensure marginalized inclusion, and provide knowledge and tools for decision making. And then sensitize health actors, that is shift from blaming poor awareness to tackling structural determinants of health inequalities. Okay, that is poverty, infrastructure gaps. These aggravate the health issues. It is not only the poor or awareness but also structural determinants such as poverty, infrastructure gaps. So they aggravate health issues. So they have to be addressed in the beginning. Only then health issues can be addressed. Then view citizens as partners but not only as passive recipients. So with this, you can improve the health governance in India. Next is a court ruling with no room for gender justice. So the article discusses about Shivangi Bansal versus Sahib Bansal 2025 case. So we'll discuss. It is important in GS2 polity, judicial review, separation of powers, constitutional morality and social morality, and also in GS1 in Indian society, or GS2 in social issues, or GS4 in ethics, aptitude and governance. It can be asked in any kind of questions. So what is the case about? The Shivangi Bansal versus Shahib Bansal 2025 July case. The Supreme Court decided that the Supreme Court upheld Allahabad High Court's direction to suspend arrest or coercive action for 2 months in case under section 498A of IPC, now called as section 85 of Bharatiya Nyaya Samiti 2023. We'll discuss what is the section 498 and we'll discuss what is this suspension of coercive action for 2 months, etc. in the articles. Purpose: allows time for Family Welfare Committee to examine the complaint before any arrest. Okay. So first we will understand section 498A of IPC or section 85 of BNS. Only then we will understand the context. It was introduced in 1983 to address rising cruelty against the married women, particularly linked to dowry harassment. Under this section, the punishment was up to 3 years of imprisonment and fine, and it covers physical and mental cruelty, harassment for dowry, conduct likely to drive a woman to suicide. Okay, it is not just physical or mental cruelty and not just harassment, but also any conduct which will force a woman to commit suicide. All these things are considered as punishable offences. The historical context that the dowry deaths in 1980s prompted a stringent legal provisions to enable swift policy interventions. Okay, if you see the movies of early 1990s or late 1990s, most of the movies revolved around dowry deaths, be it in Kannada, be it in Hindi, be it in any languages. It focused mainly on the dowry deaths because that is how rampant the issue was in that times. So Supreme Court had to take up, or the government has to take up a strict action, and the strict action was the section 498A of IPC. Supreme Court's current stand is that it approves 2-month cool-off period before any arrest. Okay, this is a very controversial statement. Initially, it was Allahabad High Court which held that under 498 this IPC, whenever a male is pursued or is accused of committing a crime or accused of harassing a woman on dowry, etc., dowry or other issues in a family. Okay, if this male is accused of harassing a female or the woman wife, okay, so we'll do like this: husband and wife. If the husband is accused of harassment by dowry on women or his wife, then there has to be a 2-month cooling period before you can arrest this husband. That is what the Allahabad High Court said, and now Supreme Court High Court has also upheld this. Why there was a 2-month period given? It was given so that there is a cool off period and for before any arrest. So there has to be cool off period because we have to collect all the evidences. Only then we can justify the arrest. Okay, that is, it relies mainly on FWCs, Family Welfare Committees, and non-police bodies to review the complaint. So these Family Welfare Committees are going to review the complaint. If the harassment or the said issue has really happened, only then it is taken forward. So it requires at least 2 months for this Family Welfare Committees to do the complete investigation. Okay, so this effectively grants a blanket interim protection to the accused regardless of the severity of allegations. So this is what the government or the article is discussing about. So this is one of the major criticism. So what is the criticism of ruling? That is, it is resulting in dilution of legislative intent. That is, Parliament designed the law for urgent police action in cases of domestic cruelty, and delay could erode this deterrence, and victim safety is at risk. That is, the 2-month delay increases the risk of retaliation, immediate intimidation, and silencing of victims. Okay, obviously the husband is going to, or any person who is accused of this cases or the crime, then he is going to try with all his might to silence the victim or sometimes even kill the victims, etc., so that he doesn't get into jail. Next is judicial overreach, that is, it alters the application of a statutory provision without a parliamentary amendment or broad empirical view. Okay, so this is where the judiciary is overreaching. Okay, where judiciary is against the separation of powers. Okay, next, misuse narrative overstand. Courts cite misuse of 498A, but no robust nationwide data proves systematic abuse. Next is impact on gender justice. It sends a signal that women's complaints need extra verification before legal action, reinforcing stereotypes. Okay, so there are certain issues as well, because most of the dowry cases, not most of the cases, some of the dowry cases have been found to be fraudulent, that the female is just putting the dowry case against the family so that she can get something out of the family or get the divorce. Okay, so there are some cases where the females or wives misuse the dowry provision. However, doing this complete blanket 2 month cool off period for all the cases is not justified. Okay, next, data and evidence. According to NCRB 2022 data, 1,34,506 cases were under section 498A. Conviction rate is around 18%. That is low, but in part due to hostile witnesses and settlement process pressures. National Family and Health Survey of 5 of 2019-2021 says that 29.3% women have faced domestic violence and majority cases are never reported. And then Humsafar Trust report says that increased reporting due to awareness and not necessarily rise in false cases. Okay, so they say that these data suggest that the 2 month cooling off period is not necessary, and this extra verification of women is also not necessary. Okay, next, so way forward, there should be speedy investigation, that is, prioritize timelines for investigation and charge sheeting instead of delaying the arrest. Next is check misuse through due process. Use penalties for proven false complaints rather than pre-arrest blanket protection. Strengthen survivor support, that is, shelter homes, legal aid and witness protection schemes. Data-based policy making, that is, national study on misuse versus underuse of section 498A to guide reforms. Okay, so this has to be taken into care before this Bansal case. Okay, so have an idea about this Bansal case. This case can be asked in UPSC prelims, or you can use this answer, or you can use this case in any of your answers as a fodder material. That is Shivangi Bansal versus Sahib Bansal 2025 case. Okay, next, okay, so very important, interesting article, editorial which was present in the Hindu, which talks about nationalism as spectacle. So it comes under GS1 society, nationalism, identity, politics and cultural symbolism, and GS2 governance, participatory democracy, public consultation and policy symbolism. So the context is, the author says that the recent inauguration of the Chenab Railway Bridge, which is world's highest railway arch, is framed as a symbol of India's engineering prowess and nationalistic pride. Similar to the earlier mega projects, that is the Statue of Unity and Kashi Vishwanath Corridor expressways, these are celebrated in the grand ceremonies and media campaigns, and most of them are inaugurated by the Prime Minister Modi. And add to this the recent yellow lane of Bengaluru Metro. Yellow lane Bengaluru Metro was also inaugurated by Narendra Modi, despite the fact that the yellow lane was almost delayed by 7 years. Okay, despite the delay in 7 years, it was celebrated grandly by the arrival of Narendra Modi. Okay, secondary things we'll discuss. What does this entail? The core argument is that India's current nationalism uses infrastructural grandeur as a dominant expression of nationhood. Criticized citizens are positioned as spectators rather than participants. They are encouraged to admire and not question. The symbols in the exclusion is scale as message. That is, size and ambition become political statements. Projects often try to selective historical narratives, that is Hindu first imagery, reimagining historical figures, etc. And then distributive justice questions are sidelined. Example, Adivasi displacement for the Statue of Unity, villages lacking basic amenities beside the expressways are not often ignored. These questions are often ignored and they are not asked. Even if they are asked, they are sidelined. Okay, so the grandeur is more focused, more or given more importance rather than the issues of the locals or issues of the Adivasis. Next is about engineering as an ideology. That is, the large projects offer tangible, measurable outputs ideal for optics driven governance. It is presented as evidence of political will, but benefits often unevenly distributed. Next, the cost include ecological damage, marginalization of communities, and tokenistic public consultations and fast track clearances. So, it is not properly resulting in proper distribution of wealth. Okay. Next, the critique is nationalism here is a tied to order, magnitude, and uniformity, sidelining participatory democracy. Progress is framed as spectacle plus dominance and not inclusion plus empowerment. So, historical contrast is that India's older engineering facts such as step wells, irrigation systems, and Mughal gardens were community serving rather than nationalism symbols. True national achievement can be measured in inclusion, equity, and shared benefit, and not just monumental scales. A very important, interesting article. Next article is about sustainable aviation fuel. We'll discuss this article in the topic of the day. We'll now move to prelims pointers. Okay, so the first article is about dengue, the UPSC relevance, that is health, and GS3 science and tech. What is dengue? Dengue is a vector-borne viral disease. It is a viral disease caused by dengue fever or flavivirus. There are 4 stereotypes: dengue 1 to dengue 4. That is dengue virus 1 to dengue virus 4. It is transmitted by mosquito. That mosquitoes are Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. And symptoms are high fever, severe headache, retroorbital pain, and myalgia. In that, there is a backbone fever as well as rash. In the severe dengue, dengue hemorrhagic fever or dengue shock syndromes are also visible. And the epidemiology in India, the endemic with the seasonal outbreak, peak post monsoon, and NVDB-DCP is the nodal program. Okay. Next is the challenge is immunity to one stereotype increase risks of severe diseases upon infection with another stereotype due to antibody dependent enhancement. Okay, so why it is in news? It is in news because there was a recent study and it was covered in the Hindu that the location of the study was in Cebu, Philippines. We studied it over the period of 2017 to 2022 and we studied over 3000 children. It identified EDE-like antibodies, that is enveloped dimer epitope antibodies, as a key in protecting against severe dengue, especially in the secondary infections. Found in 82 to 90% of the people with a prior dengue or second immunity versus 4.12% in dengue native, that is primary immunity. Okay, so a person who has already suffered from dengue for the first time has around 82 to 90% of this EDE-like antibodies compared to the person who has never faced dengue. These antibodies target conserved viral regions, enabling broad neutralization across all stereotypes. Both natural infection and vaccination boosted these antibodies. Okay, so this is the new issue, or this is the news at the moment. That is because of the first infection, the ED-like antibodies are increasing. So it is providing a level of immunity. So in India, dengue snapshots. In 2024, the reported cases were around 2 lakh and the deaths were around 300, and impacted states are UP, Bihar, West Bengal, Kerala, Delhi. And in 23, around 1.9 lakh were the reported cases with the deaths of 280, majorly in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Rajasthan. So transmission Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus, and seasonality is post monsoon peak, and there are current vaccines are also available, that is Denga or Denga is also called as Takeda, which is tetravalent and approved in some countries. And then Dengvaxia are also called as Sanofi with limited use, risks of ADE, that is anti-immunodeficiencies in dengue naive individuals. In India, there is no public program development yet. Okay, so this is about dengue. Okay, next is about National Center for Disease Control. In the same article, it talked about National Center for Disease Control. So it is, I thought we'll discuss about NCDC as well. It comes under GS2 and GS3. And why in news? It is in news because NCDC has issued guidelines to combat illness caused by water contamination in view of rising outbreaks during the monsoon, especially the dengue and malaria. Okay, next about NCDC, it is a nodal institute under the Director General of Health Services under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It acts as National Center of Excellence for prevention and control of communicable and emergent diseases. Director, the officer from Public Health Subcadre of Central Health Services, and headquartered is at Delhi, and 8 branches Alwar, Bangalore, Kajikode, Kunur, Jabalpur, Patna, Rajahmundry, Varanasi, etc. And the functions are disease surveillance and outbreak response, antimicrobial resistance monitoring, which plays a key role in antimicrobial resistance strategy, and diagnostic referral and research, that is provides referral diagnostics for complex disease cases, capacity building, that is trains health manpower in epidemiology and outbreak, and finally policy support for advisors on national health programs. All these things are carried out by NCDC, that is National Center for Disease Control. So these are some of the important articles which I want to discuss with you. So if you like the video, then please hit the like button and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.